you doing, YouTube? Matt with Massive Beer Reviews, back to another review. We're in for a little bit of side-by-side hopeful goodness. Little Baltic Porter, Imperial Baltic Porter versus some Cognac Baltic Porter from a brewery and beer name that I'll probably butcher the shit out of, so be prepared for a whole lot of mispronunciations in the form of Põhjala Brewing, and it's their that's the base, which is the Imperial Porter, Baltic Porter, and the XO, and it's the Cognac barrel-aged version of it. Yeah, yeah, never had this beer before, never heard of this brewery before. I was actually out and about in upstate New York by Buffalo. One of my favorite bottle shops out there is a place called Imperial Gourmet. I went in there and, you know, I was just about to leave, and the guy's like, "Sure you don't need anything else?" And I'm like, "Actually, you know what? What should I leave here with if something I've never heard of before?" You know, and at first he was like, "Oh, sours," and I was like, "I'm not in the mood for sour." And he's like, "Oh, this and that." He's like, "You know what?" He's like, "Have you had the Põhjala or whatever?" And I was like, "No." And he went over. And it was pretty cool because he was like, "Yeah, the barrel aged one's supposed to be really good." So I went over and he's like, "Shit." He's like, "Just sold out." He's like, "They were there like an hour ago." He's like, "You know what? Screw it." He's like, "I have one in back. I was gonna buy it. I'll just give it. You can buy it." So it was pretty cool. The guy went and got it for me, brought it out, and I figured they had the base. The guy gave me the barrel aged version. This is all about the science. So I picked up both, and here I am. I'm going to drink them in front of you. So anyway, let's dive into it, see what she's got. We have the I want to say just off knee-jerk reaction, I want to go Pohjala on this one. It's Imperial Baltic Porter, and like I said, it's the That's two O's with umlauts on them, so however that's supposed to be pronounced. And it says, "An Imperial Baltic Porter as dark as the Estonian winter nights." Yeah, you almost have to say it with an accent just to have it make sense. There is dating on here. It looks like it's a best by date. Yeah, best before. Dating from March 27th, 2019. I'm typically going to go by a 5-year rule on these. I'm not quite sure if that's what they're doing. If they are, then you're looking a couple years old on this one. Shelton Brothers Import, and that'd be that on this one. Over here, same thing. It's just actually the same label as you can see. It's just the light is kind of, there's like a little light in there, flashlight kind of thing going on. It's a little bit brighter and just says Cognac Barrel Aged Imperial Porter, and it's the two umlauts and then the AXO next to it. So yeah, at first I thought that was the name of the beer, so did a little research for you. Who would have thunk it? Part of their Cellar series. This is 10.5%. This barrel-aged version is 11.5, so you got a little bit of ABV bump. It says here a special version of our aged in cognac barrels, and this one is actually a year fresher, a year newer by the month. So my guess is they brewed this. It has to be. They brewed this, bottled this, sold this, barrel-aged a bunch of it, and a year later they rebottled it. I mean, it's almost like this is 1 day different from being bottled by a year. So yeah. Anyway, I'm going to play the 5-year rule on this and see that's what's what. And, excuse me, that's pretty much it. Cool little cap on there. Awesome fucking labels. You know me, I'm a sucker for the simplistic stuff, and this is pretty much just, you know, got that kind of like glowing flashlight thing going on, which is a little bit of writing and whatnot. You get your Shelton Brothers stamps on there that they have to do in order for the beer to be sold in the States. There you go. So let's crack these open. Work on this wax for a hot minute. So yeah, they're from Estonia, this brewery. I've never had a beer from Estonia before, but it's nice to have. I'm sure I've had a Baltic beer from a Baltic state, but you know, I mean, you're not going to get any more kind of traditional, I guess. You know, Estonia's right there on the Baltic Sea. So, but you know, I've probably had something, bit of I think Denmark is on the Baltic Sea and Sweden, so I'm sure I've had a Baltic Porter from a Baltic state before, let's put it that way. Anyway, it's got a nice little white cap. This is a really weird wax. It's very gummy, very sticky, very stretchy. You can see it's like, it's almost like, it's not like traditional wax. It's very like bubble gum in texture. This is actually the first time I've ever seen a wax like that. Very rubbery. I'm not sure if that means anything. You would think it would actually lend itself to being a better sealer if you're actually looking to seal the bottle rather than just make the beer look like it's trying to be fancy or some shit, which a lot of people like to do with their waxes. They wax shit just so it looks cool. So anyway, Let's give this a pour, see if we can do the old double duty here. Try to give them identical pours if I can, as much as I can. So there we go. Throw that sucker there, throw that sucker there. And yeah, first things first. This head over here looks darker. Could be the way the light's kind of skewing here for me. No, definitely a little bit darker. A little bit darker, a little bit bigger. I was actually a little bit more gentle on this pour. But usually barrel-aged beers, you're expecting a little bit smaller head more times than not. But you got it. Both have infinite creaminess to it. Pretty uniform bubble scenes, a couple of large stragglers, and then, you know, she be dark across the board. So yeah, they look relatively similar. Once I take it away from the light, the heads even look more similar in color. So pretty much identical stuff so far. So let's start with this over here on your left hand, or my left hand, this side for you, non-barrel aged version. Holy chocolate, man. Huge amounts of chocolate on this. Just big, rich, just south of super milk chocolate. Like, it's a milky, sweet chocolate, but it's not like straight up milk chocolate, but very close. It smells more like a chocolate milk than actual milk chocolate. There's a little bit of roasted malts in there, but that sweetness is definitely beating that roast back a bit. I can't even get past it. It's just straight up chocolate in such a beautiful way. Very soft, very creamy, very delectable. And yeah, it smells like chocolate. It smells like fucking chocolate milk. Beer chocolate milk. You do get a little bit of those roasted malts. You're getting really not much booze, if anything, on there. So yeah, let's go into the barrel-aged version. That soft milk chocolate is still there, but there's a super nice smoky woody character to it. A little bit of char, a little bit of wood, a little bit of smokiness, and you get a little bit of just a singe of like cognac kind of booziness on there. Yeah, it smells, wow. They smell very similar, but markedly different. Like the barrel, the cognac, the char are definitely represented on this side, but it's not overpowering. The beer is still part of the nose. It's not just straight up barrel at this point. It does seem like it's a little bit lighter in that kind of chocolate factor, but I don't think that's the case. I think it's more there's just other elements to it that are kind of, you know, taking up sensory room in your nose, I guess you would say. But they both smell absolutely fucking fantastic. This is going to be fun for this guy right here. Let's dive in to the non-barrel aged version. Cheers. That's not even fair. That's so delicious. There's more roast than you would think, based off of the nose. You get a nice roast. There's a decent amount of bitterness to it, but there's enough sweetness in that malt to kind of balance it. The same thing we deal with hops people here. You can have a lot of roast and a lot of bitterness from roasted malt. Sometimes that sweetness works in the same way it does with hoppy forward beers. And it's nice, though. That bitterness is not off-putting. It can be a little bit too much sometimes for me, but it's nice. It's balanced well with the sweetness. It's got a really nice mouthfeel to it. It's got a nice, creamy density to it. It doesn't taste like a stout. Doesn't taste like a porter. It tastes like a dense, super dense porter, a Baltic porter. Yeah, it's that bitterness is so good. Usually don't freak out over bitterness that much, but it's balanced so well with the sweetness. It just kind of works for me. So you get that nice kind of soft chocolate in there. It's not nearly as sweet as you think it is because it's based off of the nose, and then you get the kind of bitterness off the roasted malts. It just balances back a little bit well, so it goes down from that super milk chocolate to a nice middle of the road kind of milky chocolate. It's tasty as fuck, delicious as fuck. That's a really good beer. Kind of excited. Cheers. It's nice. I think I like the base a little better, to be honest with you. It's nice. It's delicious. That barrel comes through. That sweet cognac comes through. It's still an infinitely delicious beer, but I feel like I lose a little bit too much of the base in there. even though it's well represented, the nice bitterness that I was freaking out over and that kind of chocolate is a bit muted by the barrel, and I missed that. Ever so slight bit of heat there, but it's so minuscule. It's totally okay. It's more that cognac shining through. I thought it was going to be a little bit smoky, a little bit more charry based off the nose. It's there, but not nearly as big. The cognac's definitely bigger, but it comes off candied sweet. Doesn't come off all that boozy, even there's a little bit of heat to it. There's definitely more wood in there as opposed to this one, because I'm just want to smack the shit out of my palate. And yeah, they're really nice beers. I want to kind of blend them together, to be perfectly honest with you. But yeah, this is a really fun little exercise to do. Yeah, both world class, fantastic beers. I mean, God, you know, what's the best thing to ever come out of Estonia? This is up there, man. This is like neck and neck with fucking Encino, man. You know what I mean? Like, this is like that fucking close. Oh, delicious. Good stuff all around. I'm super excited when anticipation meets expectation. You know what I mean? Like, you know, the art design on this kind of, I was like, okay, I spotted the base, and then when he said I had this one, I was just looking at it, I'm like, this beer has to be good. The way the label is, the wax, is a nice kind of like weird gumminess to it. I don't know. There's something about it texturally that made me want it to be good. And it is. And I'm not making it up. I'm not just, you know, telling porcupines in my own head. These are both fantastic beers that fucking hit the spot. Especially if, I mean, it's hot. It's 90 degrees outside. These bottles are sweating because it's super humid and 90 degrees. They're not super cold. Yeah, as far as Baltic porters go, this might be up there with the best, if not the best ones I've ever had. So let's get to that point. Is it are these some of the better Baltic porters or barrel-aged Baltic porters that I've ever had? Yeah, the base is up there with some of the best. It's up there with the Framing Hammers of the world, those kind of beers. This is by far and away the best barrel-aged Baltic porter I've ever had. Again, go back to the Framing Hammers. I like them, I enjoy them, but they don't meet this level. You're saying that's kind of weird because, you know what I mean, like, you actually think you like the base better than this, so how is this so much better in the barrel-aged version? I'm not a big fan of across the board in general of the Framing Hammer series barrel series. Some I had were absolutely stellar, but it's a lot of inconsistency from year to year. But so this one takes the cake for me, but it's absolutely fantastic beer. Value and availability, not gonna lie to you, I didn't pay attention. I didn't want to pay attention. I think they were $9 a piece. But I was kind of in that mode where I was like, I'm going to buy some beer and I don't want to look at the price tag. I'm just going to swipe my card and not pay attention. Sometimes I do that when I'm in a mood. So I did that for these. So I think they're, you know, 9 and 10 or 10 and 11, somewhere right around there. Honestly, I don't have a problem with it. I don't, for this level of beer, where it's coming from, the journey it has to make, all that stuff, I actually don't have a problem with that. And availability, I've only seen it one place, like I said, Premier Gourmet in Buffalo, and just say, if you like what we like these, if you like Baltic porters, if you like Imperial stouts too, but more specifically Baltic porters, more on a darker, more robust side. There's ones that are a bit smaller, more traditionals, like the Hugenstraten Pooters and stuff of the world. But if you like the Framing Hammer series, you like barrel-aged porters, Imperial porters, and Baltic porters, definitely worth picking up across the board because these are absolutely fantastic beers. So, you know, probably the worst part about these beers is trying to figure out how to pronounce them. And I'm sure I butchered the shit out of that, which means nothing because these are fucking delicious. So there you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the little side-by-side as much as I did. If you didn't, somewhere in between down there, you can leave words and stuff. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Untapped, Massive Beers, all 4 of those places if you want to check me out anywhere else. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying a nice Estonia-born beer right now. And hopefully see you next time. Cheers.